When it comes to doing dosage calculations, there are many rules you need to follow. This is because in the nursing field, mistakes can be the difference between life and serious injury, even death. So to avoid this, here are some steps you should follow. First, show all of your work. This means no skipping steps or doing work in your head. Until you are supremely confident in your math skills, you should always write down your work, even if you are confident. It's best to just do it anyway. Now, this may mean that it takes you an extra minute to do the problem, but in the nursing field, you need to be accurate, not fast. 2, when it comes to leading zeros, they must be placed before any decimal point. And the reason for this is to eliminate the possibility of misreading a number. So let's take, for example, these two numbers, 0.3 milligrams and 3 milligrams. The first number can very easily be misread as 3 milligrams instead of 0.3 milligrams. If you just glance over this, you might miss that decimal point. Now, the difference between the first and the second number is 10 times the amount. So, depending on the medication, this could lead to serious injury and possibly death. So, to avoid these kind of easy mistakes, you should always put a 0 before any decimal point. So we never write 0.3 milligrams. When we write it out, we write 0.3 milligrams, so it can be seen much more clearly. 3, when it comes to trailing zeros, you must never use them. The reason for this, again, is to eliminate the possibility of misreading the number. So let's take the example 1.0 milliliters and 10 milliliters. Again, the first number can very easily be misread as 10 milliliters instead of 1 because of the decimal. If you just glance over it, you might miss the point and just read it as 10. The difference between the first and the second number, again in this example, is 10 times the amount. So depending on the medication, this again could lead to serious injury and death. So to avoid these kind of simple mistakes, you should not have any trailing zeros ever. So when you have 1.0 milliliters, you don't write this. You write it as 1 milliliter, just the 1, not 0.0. Now, the fourth thing we should look at is that when it comes to rounding, do not round any of your calculations until you reach your final answer. Depending on when you round, it could cause the final answer to be off. To make sure that this does not happen, do not round until you have reached the very end of your calculation. If you round a little bit too early, it might be nothing. It might actually be okay. Get away with that. Or if you round too early, it could actually cause the medication to be off by a lot. So to just make sure that you don't make this mistake, do not round any of your calculations until you get to the very end and then round your final answer only, not any of the intermediate steps. And finally, it's not always true, but most nursing schools do not give you partial credit. Getting close will not work, just like in the nursing field. If you're really close to getting it right, but you're off, that could get somebody hurt, that could get somebody killed. So to make sure that every step in a problem is done correctly, you make sure you do everything. Again, somebody could lose their life if mistakes are made. Always be careful.